What's up, everybody? It's the B.O.B., and I'm here with a solo edition of Around the Table with Big Bob and the Maestro, podcast that we talk about whatever we want. So, today, I went to the dark side. I did what I hate because I feel like it's lazy, but I feel like I need a little bit of a lazy week when it came to ideas. So, I asked the fans, players, coaches, give me some idea. What are some things that you want to ask me that I can answer? I'm going to be completely honest. I've got a lot more questions than I thought, and I'm going to split it up into two videos. I'll get the second part out later this week, a little special two-parter. So if you don't hear your question answered in this one, don't worry, because I am going to get you guys in another one. But I do want to start off with first, the only one that sent me a voice audio, or an audio question, which there's still time. I'll throw you in the other one. That's Kai Killens. So Kai, take it away.
Hey, Big Bob. Kai Killens here. Just wanted to ask you, what's going to be your favorite team in SWU next season? You know, there's a lot of great teams in the SEC and the ACC, but I just want to know, who are you going to be watching and why?
I want to say I appreciate you sending in an audio question for me. I really do. Obviously, there's a lot of talented teams in SimWorld U, a lot of teams with high expectations. But for me, I am personally looking forward to watching the Miami Hurricanes. I just believe they are such an athletic team, potentially the most athletic team in all of SimWorld U. They have two of the greatest highlight dunkers in SimWorld Prep history in Kayvon Jackson and Dominic Bianco. They have one of my favorite SimWorld Prep players of all time, Edgar Fernandez. Again, Bianco, Fernandez haven't really taken that, and Kayvon haven't really taken that next step for Miami. Obviously, you see in their record last season, but I still think that they have the talent to be able to move forward. As I said a couple weeks ago, they also have Tony Henderson coming in, Richard Hennessy returning, and I think this could potentially be one of, if not the best duo down low, all of SimWorld U. So I'm really excited to watch this team. We got to remember, they just won a national championship 2 seasons ago, so they're on the radar. But they are definitely a team. I know you asked for my favorite, but I'm going with the one that I'm looking forward to the most, because my favorite's always going to be Penn State, no matter what. But we're not a basketball school. We're working on it, though. Again, appreciate you, Kai. Next ones I got Cool Collins. What is a current SimWorld U or SimWorld Prep player that I think would be successful in SimWorld U football? For me, I'm going to go with one SimWorld Prep, one SimWorld U, SimWorld Prep, Monty Parsons. Already, again, probably the best big forward, wherever you want to play, whatever you want to call him, because he can play both. Best in one of if not the best in SimWorld Prep this season. And I just think his size and athleticism would bode well for a transition to SimWorld U football. And I think he'd make a great defensive end, and also pick up some catches on the pick up some touches on the offensive side of the ball, which would most likely be catches from the tight end position. But I'm also going to go with, on the SimWorld U side, a player that I believe has been underutilized, misused in all of his time with SimWorld Prep, but it's also because they had such instability. That's former Indy Stripes player Rezared. Same reasons for Monty. The athleticism, the size, would just be a great defensive end, be a great defensive player. I think they could be potentially 2 all-time greats on the football field. So who knows? We might be able to see that sooner than later. Next up, okay, Cole, appreciate the question. Next one, Coach Williams. Asked if I were hired as a SimWorld Prep coach tomorrow and I could have any 2 current players, who would they be and why? the one's already going to be a given. Mentioned them 15 seconds ago. Monty Parsons. Everybody knows I love bigs. I believe that a great big, an elite big, is the catalyst of winning a championship. Golden State proved it. You didn't need one, but I still think if you want to be consistently successful, you go back and look at the dynasties that have been around. They've had an elite big. The Spurs, the Bulls, the Lakers, Celtics, Lakers. You just go back. Golden State is the outlier. The outlier for now, because obviously NBA is leaning towards more small ball anyways, but for right now, they were the outlier. So I think you need to have the big. So Monty Parsons is number one for me. Number two, Ollie Cortez, returning SimWorld Prep Player of the Year. You got to have him. Can do a little bit of everything. Do a little bit of everything great. So if I was starting a team and I only had two players to pick from, it would be Ollie Cortez, Monty Parsons. Again, best defensive big in SimWorld Prep. I'm taking him 10 times out of 10. For those that don't know me, it's kind of a running joke, and it's not really a joke, it's kind of true. I love my bigs, and probably a lot of my answers for these questions are going to have people scratching their head because there's going to be a lot of bigs. But Coach Dries, I appreciate the question. Appreciate it for sure. Jump to B-Ron, a little bit of a fun question here. If I have a collection of some kind, and he knows I does, he's just trying to play like, come on, B-Ron. If I have a collection, what is the piece that I'm most proud of to have in it, or what's my favorite piece in the collection? Unfortunately, this is a spot where I would show what it is. However, I am packing up. Me and my wife and our lovely animals are moving to Minnesota around the end of the month, beginning of next month. So everything, all my collection is packed up right now. But I have a couple things. I collect Funko Pops, video game stuff, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Hulk, Batman. One of my favorite things is probably my 7 or 8 foot Hulk standee thing. Some people have probably seen it in some of the videos, some of my videos when I record down in the basement. But also I have a pretty cool Batman statue that I got with Batman Arkham Knight, the video game. I got the collector's edition. I got a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remastered, whatever, collector's edition. Got a skateboard. Got it with the last one, and for 1 and 2 too. I have a lot of cool stuff. Maybe I'll have a video someday whenever we move to our new house of my whole collection, so people can really see what it's all about. But yeah, probably my Hulk, my Batman, probably the first 2 collectibles that my wife bought me. It was a Battlefield 4 statue and a Gears of War 5 statue, dude on a motorcycle. Pretty cool stuff. B-Ron, thank you for the question. Next up, we got Jay Midoriya. He gave me 2, and I answered them both. I'm not going to probably necessarily answer them the way that he wanted. He asked me top 5 greatest athletes that I've ever seen or met. I haven't met any famous athletes, if I'm being completely honest. And seen, I'm going to take it seen on TV. For me, and this is more, these are more going to be favorites than anything else really, but if I had to go top 5 greatest athletes, I did try and focus on the athlete part, because, and I'm speaking more athletic, but Brock Lesnar, Saquon Barkley, Adrian Peterson, Shaq, Tommy Frazier from Nebraska back in the 90s. Lesnar, freak athlete. I am a wrestling fan. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but as a wrestling fan, he was involved in one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, with the botched shooting star press, because he hesitated a little bit. People like to say Kurt Angle was too far. Lesnar hits that 10 times out of 10 if he doesn't hesitate and slip on the top rope. But yeah, he's a freak athlete for his size. It's crazy that somebody can look like him, and obviously steroids help a little bit, but here we are. Anyways, Saquon Barkley, homer pick, Penn State fan, but the things that he could do with the ball in his hands was amazing. His last game at Penn State against USC when they lost in the Rose Bowl, amazing. Everybody obviously is going to remember, it's going to be in highlights forever, his backwards, his spin move into a backwards hurdle, like crazy stuff that he can do. Obviously wish he could have landed on the Vikings or something, but here we are. He went and got the Eagles a Super Bowl championship. Adrian Peterson, again, freak athlete at running back. Came off the ACL to win MVP. It just blows my mind because obviously, for one, if you're not a quarterback, there's a very, 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 very small chance that you're going to win MVP. But to do it coming off of a ACL tear and then the rush for over 2,000 yards, pretty great feat. Shaq, I just personally believe he's the best center in the history of the SWBA. I believe that he never truly lived up to what his potential was because he was known to not take practice seriously. I truly believe he didn't live up to his true potential, but he was just so dominant for a big athletic guy. And Tommy Frazier. Tommy Frazier is one of my favorite SWU football players of all time. Obviously, he's a rival, but I believe it was what he did against Florida back in the day. It was crazy. It's a shame that his career was cut short by blood clots in his legs and things like that. But I mean, he probably wouldn't have succeeded back then in the SWFL just because running quarterbacks weren't the fad. And it's not even a fad. Running quarterbacks weren't really a big thing back then. I mean, you had your Vic he wasn't even at Virginia Tech yet. So yeah, your primary running quarterbacks just weren't a thing. But he really put on a show there in Nebraska. To jump to Jay's next question, top 5 favorite sports moments that I experienced. Number 1 is going to be a little cheat, but I will start with number 5. And again, this is going to be ones that I also had to watch. I mean, I don't necessarily go to sporting events that much, but my number 5 was watching Michael Robinson lead the 05 Penn State team to the Orange Bowl. Just the things he was able to. Another one who maybe today he would be successful or somewhat successful as a quarterback in the SWFL, but back then, I mean, he fullback. But it's crazy that a quarterback played fullback in the SWFL, and he was a good fullback. But probably the thing that people are going to remember the most about him is when he ended Brandon Owens of Minnesota's career by running him over down the sidelines. It's a hit that still echoes in my head. It's a shame of what it did, but it's one of the highlights of that season. Number 4, the entire 09 Minnesota Vikings season. Brett Favre came over after spending the season with the Jets. Adrian Peterson, Sidney Rice was a Percy Harvin. The defense was crazy. The offensive line was crazy. Just everything about that Vikings team. They should have gone to the Super Bowl. They should have won the Super Bowl. Brett Favre should have just run the ball in the NFC Championship game. But Brett Favre was Brett Favre. You live by Favre, you die by Favre. You live and die by his want to always find the big play, to make the big play, not the safe play. You get one guy running wide open down the right side of the field, one guy running triple cover down the left side of the field. He's testing his arm out and seeing if he can get it through those 3 guys. And unfortunately, that's what happened in that NFC Championship game. Favre forced it, threw an interception, but also it's not on all him. Peterson shouldn't have fumbled the ball early. But yeah, that's number 4. Number 3, MMA fight. Chris Lieben, Yoshihiro Akiyama. Chris Lieben's one of my favorite fighters of all time. And it all really stems from this particular fight. Dude knocked out on his feet, kept going. His training clearly was in play there, but he was out on his feet, walking forward, kept going, and eventually picked up the win and submitted Akiyama in the third round, I believe it was. It was just crazy. Like, dude just knocked out, eyes glazed over. He's done, but he's not done. And he kept fighting. That's the fighting spirit people talk about. Now, number 2 is going to be one that I actually did see live. 2016 Penn State, Ohio State. Student tickets, student section tickets. Man, that game, it was crazy. At halftime, I'm like, man, I want to leave. Fourth quarter hits down 21-7. Like, man, I really want to leave. But stuck it out, as you always should. Penn State came back to win that game. Marcus Allen jumped through, blocked a field goal. Grant Haley returned it 60 yards or so for a touchdown. But I do want people to go back and watch that particular moment because I can't remember who Ohio State's. I think it was their kicker. It was either their kicker or their holder. He was fast. Almost caught Grant Haley. Did catch Grant Haley. Just couldn't finish the tackle near the end of it all. But that game was crazy, and it really showed me just how much a crowd can affect the game. Because you go back, and I believe it was Ohio State's very first drive, very first play. They had to switch to a silent count because they couldn't hear because the crowd was so loud, and that stadium shakes. And that was the first and only time I was ever involved in a crowd rushing the field. Number 1, I said I'm cheating here a little bit. Washington Capitals, Detroit Red Wings. After the game, right outside the stadium, I proposed to my wife. She said yes, obviously, because she's my wife. But that's the number 1 sports moment that I've ever experienced because it happened at the game. Let's see. Joey Justins. What is the craziest thing that I experienced throughout all of SimWorld? I always will go back to Kadarius Loftus hitting the 3 to win the game. I think it was Beyond the Arch. Or Indy Stripes. I can't remember. I can't remember. But they had the game stopped with 12 seconds left. Picked it up about a week later. Obviously, they're not in the same. They're probably cold. You're about to go out there and play 12 seconds, but Kadarius Loftus caught that ball. Everybody thought it was going to DJ Wagner. Everybody thought DJ Wagner was taking that last shot. Nope, Kadarius Loftus. And I still think he should have won his second player of the week in a row. His second player of the week, which would have been in a row. I think that was just after a week where he had 43 points in the game, hit like 12 threes, I believe it was, set that record. So that was the craziest moment of all of SimWorld for me. And Joey Justins also asked if I had to pick a top 5 from SimWorld U and a top 5 from SimWorld Prep, who would I choose? I gave myself some limitations here. I did go 2 guard, 2 forward, and a big for this one. I did cheat a little bit because my big for Prep is technically listed as a forward for his team, but he's clearly going to play center. So I'll start with my Prep players. I also, for Prep, I did it for SimWorld U as well. I didn't pick players that didn't have experience in that particular place. So no 15-year-old SimWorld Prep player, no true freshman SimWorld U players. They had to have some playing time the season before. So for me, I go top 5, but it'll be my starting top 5. And I know some people aren't going to necessarily agree, and I had to leave some people off, so I did give myself one honorable mention in SimWorld Prep, and it's KJ Hills for Southeast Select. I couldn't not mention him. But for me, I went Ollie Cortez with Best Coast, Frey Maxwell, AT Aliens, Trey DeRozan, Lone Star, Monty Parsons, Philadelphia, and Jick Lee for Showtime. For Prep, or for SimWorld U, This one was a little bit harder. I did have to leave some players off. I didn't give an honorable mention here because there were so many players. But for me, if I was building a team, I know you said top five, but for me, my top five is going to be the top five I'm picking to go out there and win games. Royce Anderson, Kadarius Loftus at guards, Arthur Lattimore, Garrett Hart at forward, and Victorious Ilgauskas down low. I love the defensive, the best defensive bigs. I love the best defensive players in general, but you do obviously have to have some offense, which I think Royce and Kadarius would bring. But I had to go with who I feel at center, who I feel is the best defensive center in all of SimWorld U. Thanks for the questions, Joey. Next up, we got Coach Dre Pope. And I only got one more after this. Again, I know it's already a long episode. I've been trying to keep them short for you guys because you don't listen anyways. But Coach Pope, who is the best Minnesota Vikings player of all time? To me, Randy Moss. Randy Moss. Personally, I believe he is the greatest wide receiver in the history of the SWFL. I believe that he is another player just like Shaq who did not necessarily live up to what his expectations could have been. He revolutionized the receiver position. Absolutely dominated as a rookie. Went and set the record when he was with New England and Tom Brady. The things that he could do, the catches he could make, the athleticism that he had at his size was unbelievable. The three, as a rookie, his three catch, 3 touchdown game against the Cowboys, I believe it was on Thanksgiving, was a big middle finger to them for not picking him. But I still, for me, Randy Moss. I mean, there's tons of others you can name. Culpepper. I still like Minnesota Vikings legend Brett Favre. But Percy Harvin, Adrian Peterson, some of our older guys. I loved Michael Bennett. We have had some amazing defenders and offensive linemen throughout our history. Matt Burke I don't remember if he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. I'm trying to remember if he was on that Flacco team. I think he was. I was really glad. I'm pretty sure he did, and I was glad for him to get a ring. I wish some of our others could have gotten rings. I wish that 09 team could have gotten a ring because I think they really deserved it with, again, Jared Allen over there. Just a lot of great players. So, Randy Moss. Thanks, Pope. Appreciate your question, Coach. Final one for Marsh. Who are we not talking about that we should be? I just don't think people are giving Tennessee enough credit heading into the season. I really, really don't. I get that they haven't lived up to the hype at all, but Rick Barnes is still a great coach. I think the addition of Reza Red on top of Azunda Mazaka, who I already talked about last week, I think that those two are going to bring something to this team, but I really think that Coach Barnes is going to get the most out of Reza Red. Just something that nobody was able to do in SimWorld Prep. But I think Azunda Mazaka is going to bring that offensive firepower for this team. You got Vekic, you got Brockwell. I just think this volunteer squad has a chance to get the conference championship and make a deep run in Hoopsteria. I really do. Marsh, appreciate the question. Appreciate you giving me one I can wrap up with. I appreciate you guys all for giving me these questions. Let me know what you thought about my answers, and look out for part 2 coming a little bit later this week. I appreciate you guys as always, and have a great rest of your week.